What I'm going to be breaking down is the law firm growth acceleration model and the 4 stages of revenue, profit, and freedom growth within it. One of the most important things that I want to kind of piggyback on is the importance of having a vivid vision and an annual plan. And there's really 5 pillars of vision that we broke down. Your 3-year unlimited revenue goal, your profit goal, your free days goal, which I had everyone commit to 124 free days a year. Can someone type 124 in the chat if you're still committed to that? That's a vacation every quarter, 5-day vacation every quarter plus 104 free days. So give me a 124 in the chat if you will take 124 free days completely off the grid from your law firm in the next 12 months. Okay, thank you everyone. Again, that will help you grow your law firm. Once we get clear on our vision, we then turn that into an annual plan, right? The annual plan is where we take our big unlimited 3-year picture for where we want to go, and we turn it into a brass tacks revenue growth, profit growth, and freedom plan for ourselves in the next 12 months. And I invited everyone to set a goal to grow your firm by at least how much? Who wants to put it in the chat? At least you're going to grow your firm by what? Give me the number in the chat. I want to see who remembers it from the morning. 1.2 mil, right? You're going to set a goal to grow your firm, increase your revenue. That means if you did 1 million last year, you're going to do 2.2 million next year. And the reason is because the math is very simple, right? You're going to grow your firm by an extra $100,000 in monthly revenue, right? Then we talked about the lawyer legacy staircase, right? We talked about the graduation of going from solo practitioner, small business manager to law firm CEO, and then getting into that law firm owner category, which is actually the key. The reason, for those of you who did the mystery boxes and submitted your information on time for that, if you're VIP, those are the only people who got mystery boxes if you did VIP, and you submitted your address information to us on time. If you got those, the reason we didn't give you an entrepreneur bracelet or a wealth multiplier bracelet is because you have to become an owner first before you can be an entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier, right? So we all have to commit to have our firms run themselves before we can have the freedom to be an entrepreneur or a wealth multiplier, right? So the lawyer legacy staircase is one of the absolute keys, right, to understanding how to take your firm to the next level. And then we talked about how to eliminate mindset obstacles, right? So I'm going to go over to the board over here, and we're going to talk about the law firm growth acceleration model, which is the way that you actually climb the lawyer legacy staircase, right? So this is the lawyer legacy staircase, right? We talked about becoming an owner, and the way you climb this is through the law firm growth acceleration model to get to the next level on the ladder, on the staircase, so that your firm can run itself. You can run your firm through a leadership team and a vision when you become a CEO, and then you can eventually hire a CEO or COO when the firm is ran by someone else and you're the owner of your firm. This is how you do it, through the law firm growth acceleration model. And by the way, that's the name of this event, right? This event is the Law Firm Growth Acceleration Bootcamp because it all revolves around the law firm growth acceleration model, right? If you want to grow your revenues, it starts by first creating scalable lead generation systems for your firm, scalable intake systems for your firm, right? If you get these 2 things dialed in, you will increase your revenues, right? So leads and intake will increase your revenues. Self-managing team and profits, creating systems for these 2 things, will increase your profits and your freedom, right? Because we want to grow our revenues, our profits, and our freedom. So what I'm going to break down is the 4 stages of revenue, profit, and freedom growth. And what I've done is I've taken the 4 prongs of the law firm growth acceleration model. Lead generation. Can I get a yes in the chat if everyone understands? I took the law firm growth acceleration model, that pyramid I just showed you, and I took leads and I put it here, intake and I put it here, self-managing team, I put it here, and profit and I put it here. So basically look at the law firm growth acceleration model horizontally right now. Is everyone following me? I just need to make sure everyone's on the same page with this so that no one's confused. So just give me a yes if everyone's tracking on this. Okay, so I just put it horizontal, and now we're going to talk through the stages of growth that every law firm owner has to go through. They're the stages that any business owner really has to go through. I'll share a little bit of my stories and what I've learned working with hundreds of law firms in actually ascending this staircase. I have the lawyer legacy staircase here on the right, to show us how we're going to be stepping up from solo practitioner, small business manager. Again, small business manager is a team of 3 to 19. CEO is when you get to 20 plus employees, you run your firm through a leadership team and a vision. And owner is when someone else is running the firm, like a COO or a CEO that you hire. So when you are a solo practitioner, your lead generation system is you are the rainmaker, right? So when you are the rainmaker, you have 2 primary lead generation systems: word of mouth and referrals, right? So everything depends on you as the rainmaker. You generate your cases through word of mouth and referrals, right? The majority of law firm owners hang their hat on the fact that they are the rainmaker for their firm. But when everything revolves around you, is that scalable, yes or no? Right? It's great to get referrals. It's great to optimize around that, but it shouldn't be your only lead generation system, right? So we need to diversify. When you're the rainmaker and you're a solo practitioner, you're typically at the lowest level of intake, which is what I call you. Anyone remember the times when you were the one answering the phone? You were the one dealing with every single signed client that came in? Painful days. How many of you are in that place right now? Or you can remember when you were there. Give me a yes in the chat if you can remember it, or you're there right now, right? Should be everyone. That's no fun either, because everything still revolves around you, again, because you're at step 3 on the staircase, right? Your team is not really existent because you're the one doing everything. You're at the lowest level of leadership, as we call it. You're at the doing level, right? People who do the most make the least, right? So you're doing all the time. That is your team process. You're doing all the work, and you have 1 to 2 helpers to basically assist you, right? And your profit plan is nothing. You don't have a profit plan. You're not being proactive in your financial planning, right? So when you're as a solo practitioner, you're basically operating at the lowest possible hourly rate, right? Which I call a $10 hourly rate. Now, this is just as an example. I'm not saying you're actually making $10 an hour, but comparatively speaking, when you're a solo practitioner and you're the one doing all the things in your firm that other people can do, that you could hire other people to do, you're operating at the lowest possible hourly rate. And oftentimes when law firm owners say, I don't have the time, what that really means is they're spending time on low value things. You're spending time at a low hourly rate category. So you think you don't have the time because you're spending time on things that don't produce a lot of value. Okay? So the next level is where some great transformation happens. Okay? Instead of being the rainmaker, you graduate to step 2, you become a small business manager, and you find your first scalable lead generation system. Now, the best and most predictable lead generation system is what we call demand marketing, okay? So demand marketing is when you use something, call it direct response marketing. You put $1 in, and you can print $3 to $5 out, right? Most lawyers, when they're trying to go from solo practitioner to small business manager to the next level, they need to put $1, because you don't have a lot of money, you need to put $1 in and get $3 to $5 out. Therefore, you need to be focused on demand generation marketing activities. You don't need to be focused on branding. You don't need to be focused on things that do not have a clearly attributable ROI. Not yet. So the most successful attorneys, they find a demand generation system, something that is a direct response, $1 in, $3 to $5 out marketing activity. And when that happens, you're going to get more calls. And typically, you're going to put an untrained salesperson that says untrained salesperson. You're going to graduate from you handling all the intake to an untrained salesperson handling your intake. It's funny, we used to do marketing for this client in Philadelphia, and they would answer their phone. It was their receptionist who knew nothing about sales, and we go, law office. Anyone ever called one of your, a firm that you refer cases to, or another firm, or maybe your firm? Anyone ever hear a law firm pick up the phone like that? Can I get a yes? So we're doing all this work, sending all these leads to this client, and they're answering from a law office, right? That's a firm that's built on Rainmaker. That's a firm that's banking on word of mouth, referral-based hot leads coming in, right? Not cold leads from the internet. So when you have an untrained salesperson, your conversion rate is going to dip. You're going to convert a low percentage of leads into signed cases. Your team management process is you are managing, right? Just like it says here, you're a small business manager. When you graduate to small business manager, you have a team of 3 to 19 employees, and you're actively managing them. You're typically the bottleneck in your firm. Everyone's coming to you with questions throughout the week. True or false? Give me a true or a false in the chat. Everyone's coming to you with questions throughout the week, right? You can't really get anything done when you have a small business manager team without a clear leadership team, roles and responsibilities, organizational structure. So your life is actually pretty hard when you're at the managing level, right? And your profit plan goes from no plan, because you don't really need it, because you're high profit when you're a solo. You don't have a lot of expenses. When you start spending money on people and you invest more in marketing, you're now going into what I call reactive profit planning, which means you're not really planning, you're reacting to when you have cash flow crunches. You're reacting to when there's not enough money in the bank at the end of the month. How many of you have been there before, right? So you're basically reacting. You're in a reactive state, but at least you're conscious of your profits because you're starting to spend money here as a small business manager, right? Now, you graduate from a $10 effective hourly rate to a $100 per hour effective hourly rate. That's because you're no longer the bottleneck on all the leads. You now have one scalable lead generation system. You have at least someone handling parts of what we call early stage intake, right? Intake qualifying. You have more people to do the work, and you're at least focused on profits somewhat, right? Whereas you're not focused at all on it because you don't need to be at the lowest level. So then we go to step 3, right? Step 3 is where magic starts happening, right? This is where you merge into awareness marketing. So you create a scalable demand generation marketing system, which we're going to show you a little bit more about tomorrow. And you layer on top of that, you don't do either or. You do both. Can everyone please type the word both into the chat so I know that I'm being abundantly clear here? And in Andy and I's new book, we break this down very abundantly clear. It's about showing up for your one-to-one marketing ROI activities, your demand generation activities, whether that's Google marketing, which is usually the best to do, dollar in, dollar out activity. And then you want to layer awareness marketing on top of that to not only show up when people are in need of you, but also to proactively get in front of your market when they're not yet in need of you. And the merge of these two things reduces your cost per acquisition, right? So this is where the real magic happens when you're doing both of these things together, demand and awareness marketing. Now, when you get to the intake level here, you now have a trained sales team. And this is where real magic happens, because when you merge demand and awareness marketing, your cost per acquisition reduces, because now you're showing up proactively and reactively. So your cost per acquisition reduces and your conversion rate increases, because instead of having an untrained salesperson, you now have a trained sales team. So this would be 3 to 4 people who are managing your intake, whether that's virtual assistants, 1 or 2 full-time employees plus some virtual assistants is usually what we see when you're at stage 3, or even more, right? And your conversion rates increase, which then further reduces your cost to acquire a case. Now at this point, instead of managing, you are now leading. You're out of the day-to-day management of every individual on your team. You're now leading through a leadership team. So you're at a higher level of value on the team spectrum, right? You have a better self-managing team, okay? And now your profit is a 3-month profit plan. So now you start getting some era of predictability around your profits. You're able to at least pre-project money in, money out on a 3-month basis, right? So therefore, you now graduate to a $1,000 hourly rate, right? You're only focusing on high-level things that have a $1,000 impact or more on the firm. But everyone here is committed to getting to law firm owner, correct? Can I get a yes in the chat that everyone's committed to getting to the next level? Step 6, at least, okay? So this is where you become what we call omnipresent. So omnipresence is where you have all of these things running at the same time. You have a scalable word-of-mouth system, scalable demand, scalable awareness, and you start, because you've been consistent with this for such a period of time, you now are the choice for a lawyer in your local market. You come off as omnipresent. You appear to your prospects as though you are showing up everywhere when they're in need for you, right? Your intake now has a sales leader. So now you have a sales leader and a trained sales team. So that's your intake director. Now your team process, you don't even need to lead at this point. You now are able to imagine, which is the highest level of team, right? Of self-managing team. You're able to spend time imagining your firm's core values, imagining the way your firm should operate operationally. You're able to imagine what new roles you need in the firm, where you want to go, what new markets you want to expand into, right? That's what's being a visionary, right? And you're able to have someone else lead the team, right? And then your profit now runs on a 12-month plan where you're running on a true disciplined annual plan, which pre-plans all of your revenue sources and all of your profits throughout a 12-month year, and you execute to that 12-month plan through monthly financial statement meetings, right, with your CFO, or we have a VP of Finance and Data who manages this process on a 12-month basis where we do annual planning for a whole 12 months. But I didn't start there. I started with 3 months, right? So that puts you at what we call the rate is a $10,000 an hour rate. You're focused on the highest value actions in your firm that have a $10,000 plus impact because you've delegated everything else that's lower value in your firm, right? So can I get a yes in the chat that everyone follows this up to this point before I move to the next one? Okay, so I need everyone to make it, like this is literally how you ascend the staircase. This is it, through the law firm growth acceleration model. This is why you signed up for this event, right here. What I'm showing you. This is exactly how it works. So let's talk about how tactically to take advantage of this. So we labeled the 4 marketing phases that allow you to climb the staircase, right? Rainmaker, demand, awareness, omnipresence, right? What we've seen in our experience is that when you're at Rainmaker, you typically cap out at 450K. When you are at demand, you can add another $1 million to your firm just by adding the right demand side strategy. Now, what we've seen works best is Google ads and local services ads and then social media retargeting. That's like the brass tacks best demand strategy that we've seen works. So Google ads, Google search ads, local services ads set up correctly, and social media retargeting. Those 3 prongs together is your demand strategy. That's the best dollar in, $3 to $5 out strategy that we've found. So then awareness is where you start going more aggressive. We've seen social media is typically the best way, and that can expand you when you merge these 2 together, expand you to $4.5 million in revenue. And omnipresence is where you're at that highest level law firm owner category and you appear everywhere to your market, and that's where you have that exponential growth, and you actually reach the $10 million mark or more, right? So these 4 phases require 4 levels of investment, right? So I'm going to explain to you kind of how I went through these levels so that you can see kind of where you're at and you can apply them to where you're currently at in your firm. So when I got started, all of my clients came from either direct outreach or referral, and I was the rainmaker for SMB team in my first year. And lo and behold, we did around $460,000 in our first year. So I actually went through this exact model myself. Our second year, I did around 1.45 million in my second year in business. And I went to the demand phase. The demand phase for me was actually marketing to lawyers, taking my own advice, marketing to lawyers. I launched a Google Ads campaign, and I showed up on Google every time a lawyer typed in law firm PPC company, right? That was the keyword that I bid on, right? Now, there were a ton of keywords that I bid on that didn't work, like probably I bid on law firm marketing company, law firm SEO company, law firm PPC company, law firm website company. Like I bid on all these keywords, and there was only one of like the 10 different things I spent money on that actually produced an ROI. Now, what do most people say when they spend money on Google and it doesn't work to their perfect expectations in the first month? They say what? Who wants to tell me what most attorneys say? I'm looking in the chat. They say, they make a blanket statement and they say, oh, Google didn't work. Google's a waste of money. Google's a scam. Because I had such a big vision for where I was going, I didn't have a choice. Google's the #1 website in the world, so I had to figure it out. So I looked into my data, right? I probed deeply and I found out, oh, wow, one of these 5 keyword groups was actually the one producing the return on investment. So I doubled down on that, right? I became curious. And then I doubled down, and as soon as I found what worked, I spent $6,000 in my first month on that Google law firm PPC campaign. I landed a $18,000 client in my first day of launching this new law firm PPC focus campaign. And I scaled it up to $26,000 a month in my second month after I found what worked. So I always say pioneer, audit, systemize. Pioneer, try something new. Audit, analyze what worked so you can double down on it. And then systemize, right? Systemize means double down and make this a recurring part of your law firm once you find what works. And that's what I did here. I made this a part of my business, and for the next 4 years, I ran this $26,000 a month budget on Google, and it consistently every month pulled in, I don't even know how many clients, maybe around I think it was an average of 8 or 9 clients a month, which was great for us. So from that, I had a big vision, again, which forced me to expand my marketing. I wasn't able to just flatline there. So then I went into awareness marketing, and I had no idea what I was doing. And by the way, I didn't come up with the demand marketing stuff on my own. I seeked the mentor, Perry Marshall, who wrote the Google Ads for Dummy book. I reached out to him, and I learned about Google Ads, right? And I spent money to learn from him. And when I wanted to start getting active on social media, I had no idea what I was doing too. I saw this guy's ads up every single day. Who wants to take a guess? Who was it? Marketing to lawyers. Who wants to take a guess? Who was the person? Andy Stickle, right? Every day, hey lawyers, hey lawyers, hey lawyers. So I did the same exact thing. I reached directly out to Andy. I said, please help me. I don't know how to market on Facebook. And we had a call, and I showed him what I was doing on Google. He showed me what he was doing on Facebook. So after I met with him, I had been running Facebook ads, by the way, for months. I had no idea what I was doing. 0 ROI, or so I thought, right? Because I wasn't probing in, because there was something I didn't know about Facebook. And lo and behold, Andy looks at my campaigns. He's like, oh, you got to just click this, pull this lever, and do this. And boom, all of a sudden, my Facebook ads started working. Then he told me just one piece of advice. He said, promoting a webinar is his highest ROI thing on Facebook ads. So I decided to promote a webinar. I never question what my mentors tell me. Did everyone just catch what I said? I immediately did a webinar. And then COVID hit right after Andy told me that. And I just did it. I had no idea what I was doing. and I ended up doing a PPP webinar. And I had 3,777 attorneys sign up for my 4th webinar ever on how to get PPP loans for your law firm. And that's where really SMB team was built, was on the back of that PPP loan webinar that I decided to do because I had learned from Andy. So I spent $6,000 my first month, and then I eventually scaled that up to $60,000 a month in online marketing budget. So I had gone from 0 marketing budget to, in 2 years, I was spending $86,000 a month on my own marketing. Isn't that insane? From 0 marketing budget, right? So from this point, after a certain period of time, like now it's been, 3 years. And by the way, someone said I'm 37 years old. I'm not. I'm 32 years old. Okay. I think Corey, who's backstage, said that. But now that we've been following this model for 3.5 years with heavy Facebook ads and heavy Google, we're now getting into the omnipresent category where we're starting to be, perceived as the go-to choice for all the services that we offer as a company. Marketing, coaching, fractional CFOs, virtual assistants, all that. So the point is, I went through this exact process myself. And every single stage, the only reason I spent money at each of these stages is because I did the upside math, right? So most attorneys do the downside math. They say, how much is it gonna what? Who wants to let me know in the chat? How much is this gonna what? Cost. That ain't the upside math. The upside math is what vision am I committed to for the future? That's upside math. So the upside math is where you always have to start. Marketing doesn't cost you money. Not marketing costs you money, right? Once you do the upside math, you have to invest accordingly. It's one thing to say, oh, I want to grow my revenue by 1.2 million, but I'm not going to spend any money on it. No, you have to do the upside math and you have to invest accordingly. And when you do that, you're going to get more cases. And then you're going to hit a COC, which stands for ceiling of complexity. You're going to go, holy crap, how do I deal with all of these leads? How do I deal with all this increased case volume? And then once you hit a ceiling of complexity, you're going to hire help. You're going to hire people to help you. Very simple formula. Increase case volume, hit ceiling of complexity, hire help. Repeat. That's literally how you scale a firm, right? And then as you hit all of these ceilings of complexity, the way that you break through them is you find a mentor at each stage. So if I didn't find Perry Marshall, I wouldn't have known how to succeed with my Google marketing. If I didn't find Andy, I wouldn't have known how to succeed with my Facebook marketing. If I didn't, when I got to the Omnipresence phase, it actually wasn't about marketing anymore for me. It was really about leadership because our team had broken 20 employees and I was in the abyss. So I had to hire Cameron Harold as my personal one-on-one coach. I paid him $50,000 a year for 3 years, and he taught me how to delegate and how to become the next level of leader that I needed to be. And now Andy and I spend $600,000 a year on personal development, coaches, mentors, consultants, because of it's probably the highest return on investment that we've had in deserving the growth that we've had in our company. So you're not going to start immediately spending 20% of your revenues. Let me kind of break this down. If you want to add $1.2 million to your firm, let me ask a question in the chat. How many of you are still, I'm showing you how to do it, but how many of you are still committed to adding 1.2 million to your firm? Put a yes in the chat if you're still committed in 1 year. If you want to add $100,000 a month in revenue to your firm, you're going to follow the 20-40-10 rule. And I'll show you what that is in a second. You're going to spend 20% of your revenue growth goal on marketing, 40% on people, and 10% on learning or getting answers, as we call it. So what I'm going to break down right here is the 20%. So what is 20% of this $100,000 a month you want to grow your firm by? Who wants to tell me what's 20% of $100,000?
$20,000.
Perfect. 20K. Thank you. $20,000 a month, right? How many of you would invest $20,000 a month for $100,000 a month in additional revenue? Yes or no? Okay. So here's how that works. Let's say you get a 5-to-1 ROI from your marketing, right? If you spent, I'm not saying you have to start spending $20,000 a month. Let's say that you start at half of that right now. Let's say you just start at $10,000 a month in marketing spend. And we're going to show you how to do this a little bit more tomorrow because that's more lead generation day. And that brings in $50,000 in revenue. As you bring on more revenue, you hire more people, which allows you to have the capacity to handle those additional cases, and you incrementally scale up to 6 months in to where you're spending $20,000 a month and you're bringing in that $100,000 a month in revenue. So that's just an example of I'm not saying it's all black and white. I will grow my firm by 1.2 and I must spend 20% of that in full right now. No, you're really spending 1/12 of that. You want to earn 1/12 of 1.2 million, so $100,000 a month. Then you're spending 20% of that. Then you're spending half of that to start. And then you're scaling up accordingly, right? So let's talk about this. This is the 20-40-10 rule. This is exactly how it works. 20, 40, 10. This is not profit first, by the way. We're the only company in the space that's teaching this model, okay? This is not profit first. Everyone else in the industry is teaching profit first, and that's why most firms are struggling and not growing fast. We are teaching grow first, then get to a point where you can optimize your profits once you have some serious revenue to optimize, right? It's hard to optimize profits when you only have a team of 5 people and you have no freedom. Optimizing profits just keeps you trapped underneath the abyss. Okay? So, 20, 40, 10. Okay? You're going to spend 20% of where you want to go. So if you want to grow your firm by $100,000 a month, you're going to spend 20% of that on getting leads. You're going to spend 40% of that on people only after you brought in the revenue. So you basically, you're investing 20% in leads. Leads buy you, someone type the word revenue in the chat. Leads buy you revenue. Leads buy you revenue. Then with that revenue, you invest in people. 40% of that 100K. People buy you freedom. So you increase your revenue by investing in your leads based on where you're going, not where you're currently at. People buy you freedom so that they're able to handle the intake and the increased caseload, right? They're able to help you, right? And learning buys you success. Up to $5 million in revenue, you need to be spending 10% of your revenues on learning if you want to grow fast. If you don't want to grow fast, learn through trial and error. If you want to grow fast, learn through other people's mistakes, other people's trial and error. Like, how many of you think Andy and I learned how to do these events through osmosis and trial and error? Yes or no? When you see how these events are coordinated, when you see what we're going through, do you think we just winged it? Just, let's figure out all the studio stuff, we'll just figure it out, blah, blah, blah. Do you guys think we hired consultants to help us do this? Yes or no? How much money do you think we spent in learning how to do events like this so we could have a bigger impact on our marketing? Over $250,000 we've spent on mentors, coaches, and consultants to learn how to do these events. What return on investment do you think these events have had on our business? Who wants to let me know? It's probably the greatest ROI we've ever seen in our company, is what we invested in learning how to create a bigger impact through our marketing, which these events allow us to do, right? When we were hiring a sales team, I didn't just wing it. I hired a sales team building consultant. When we broke 100 employees, I hired a $500 million CEO coach who now coaches me and costs 6 figures a year to coach me. And I have a one-on-one call with him every single week. I did that for 3 years with Cameron Herold when I was getting to the 100 employee mark. I refuse to not have coaches and mentors in my life at each phase of growth. And it is the highest ROI investment that I and Andy make, hands down, because I don't have the answers. So learning buys you success. If you're going to invest in your firm, invest all this money in leads and people, how the hell are you going to manage the people? How the hell are you going to learn enough about marketing to know what works and what to double down on? I say this with respect. You don't deserve to succeed if you don't learn the language of success. True or false? You can't just wing it. There's too much competition. I refuse to gamble with my success. My learning budget is where I invest everything. So, the question that I need everyone to ask yourself is, if you could trade $20,000 a month for $100,000 a month in growth, why haven't you already done it? If this is literally the answer for you to climb the lawyer legacy staircase, increasing your lead volume, getting a trained sales team to handle your stuff, getting to the Imagine level, creating 12-month profit plans for your firm, and it all starts with you increasing your revenues, my question is very simple, is why didn't you already do it? Why didn't you already invest the $20,000? Who wants to let me know? Don't know how, didn't have the money, right? Scared, I was afraid. Now, some of you truly may have credit cards that don't allow you to spend $20,000 on it. Some of you, yeah, that may be a valid thing, right? So you got to go out and sell. You got to go get the money. If 87% of millionaires are self-made, what does that mean? What does self-made mean? Who wants to let me know what that means? Why are the majority of millionaires self-made? So the fact that you don't have the money is actually a higher chance that you're going to be successful than if you do, based on the statistics of millionaires. So welcome to the club if you don't have the money. So there's only 5 reasons that you didn't already do this. Number 1 is you don't think the marketing will work. And you know what's probably true about this? All of it won't work. Not everything you do in marketing will work. Get used to it. Welcome to the club. Marketing is a learning commitment. What did I just say marketing is? Marketing is a learning commitment. There is no black magic, marketing pill that you can just take and have guaranteed marketing success forever. Marketing is a learning commitment. So you need to work with a company that will learn with you and also implement things that they've already learned, right? So you don't have to learn, so they're not learning on your dime. Number 2 is ability to grow a team. There's something deep within you that thinks, if I spend this money, I'm not going to be able to build and manage and grow a team. That's just because you don't have reference experiences for that, right? We can learn how to do this, right? If like managing a team is probably the most common. Can everyone mute out, please? I don't know what that was. Learning a team is what every business book that's ever been written is written about, right? You can learn how to manage a team. You can learn how to attract A players. You don't believe you can delegate intake or casework. Am I striking a chord with any of these first three, yes or no? Like, you don't believe that you're going to be able to truly have someone handle your intake or your casework as good as you. Get used to it. You're not here to have an impact on the little 100 clients that you work with. You're here to make a massive impact on your market. So I'd say this from a place of love. Get over it. Your job is to train other people to be 90% as good as you so that you can have a bigger impact, because your competitors ain't even freaking close to 90% as good as you, especially their employees. Number 4 is you think you have a unique situation. You think you have a unique situation. When everyone says they have a unique situation, what does that mean? Who wants to let me know? Does that mean it's true or false? When my sales team talks to people who call us, they're like, "Oh, this person really has a unique situation." I'm like, "Come on. Every single person you talk to has a unique situation." Your situation is your reason for success. And last but not least is you don't know the steps to follow. You just haven't been able to see how this is possible for you, and that's why you're at this event, and that's why the next 2 days are designed to give you the exact steps to follow. So I hope you got a tremendous amount of value from this. This is the Law Firm Growth Acceleration Model. This is the name of the event for a reason, because this is the exact process for you to grow your firm to the next level.